Let's look at the options for the 5th pick. They could draft a blue chip prospect, which would most likely be the best non-quarterback prospect if the first 4 picks are all quarterbacks, or they could trade back from the 5th pick to acquire more assets.
Before we dive in, let's take a quick look at what moves the Chargers have already made and what holes they still need to fill. We are only going to be hitting on the highlights and not mentioning every single transaction. But if there's an important one you feel that we missed, feel free to let us know down in the comment section. The Chargers kicked off their offseason by firing Brandon Staley and long-term GM Tom Telesco. To replace them, they landed the biggest coaching fish in Jim Harbaugh and hired Joe Hortz. Joe was with Baltimore for 26 years and helped build that franchise from the ground up. In other words, he is not just a pretty face while Jim is actually running the show. Next, the Chargers had some tough decisions to make to get into cap compliance. They ended up restructuring Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, keeping them around. Unfortunately, they weren't as lucky with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Allen couldn't come to an agreement over a new contract, so he was shipped to the Bears for a 4th-round pick. And Mike was just released and eventually joined the Jets on a 1-year deal. The Chargers also lost Will Clapp, Austin Eckler, Michael Davis, Kenneth Murray, Eric Kendricks, and Gerald Everett. It wasn't only losses though. The Chargers did bring in some underrated signings like linebacker Denzel Perryman, center Bradley Bozeman, D-tackle Poona Ford, and tight ends Hayden Hurst and Will Disley.
All right, folks, with that out of the way, let's get down to business. The 5th overall pick is a golden opportunity for the Chargers to add a game changer to their depleted roster. But the question is, which direction should they go? Let's go ahead and flesh these options out to decide what the Chargers should do with the 5th pick. So option 1, drafting a top prospect. Let's break down some of the top players available at the 5th spot and how the Chargers could draft one of these guys to fill key gaps on the roster. The Chargers have needs all over the board. Of course, they need some weapons now with the loss of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. But they also need to address interior O-line, corner, linebacker, and tight end. Taking a guard or linebacker 5th overall is way too high, especially for this deep draft class. That leaves us with corner, tight end, and wide receiver. Now, I do want to put a disclaimer here quickly. Normally, 5 would be way too high for a tight end, but Brock Bowers is basically a big receiver, so in this rare case, it wouldn't be beyond terrible to take him here. So let's look at the top players at each spot. Just so everyone is on the same page, we're using Daniel Jeremiah's top 50 prospect rankings to determine the top players. At corner, we have former Alabama Crimson Tide Terrion Arnold. Arnold is capable of playing both inside and outside, and according to Jeremiah, he quotes, "I struggled to find much to criticize in Arnold's play. He has all the tools and traits to be Pro Bowl caliber cornerback." It's hard to find a better compliment than that when it comes to draft prospects. At tight end, we have the before-mentioned Brock Bowers. Bowers has hands like a receiver and is nearly impossible to take down once he hits the open field. He has long been considered a generational tight end even before he declared for this draft. Bowers is also a capable blocker and shouldn't be a liability in the run game. At receiver, you could go either way here. Marvin Harrison Jr. is seen as a generational prospect, and Malik Nabers isn't far behind him. Actually, Malik Nabers' stock has been rising over the past few weeks, and Malik Nabers is now seen as 1B to Marvin Harrison Jr. 1A in the wide receiver rankings. We did draft profiles on both of them, so if you want to see more extensive breakdowns, then the video links will be in the description box down below. Option 2, trading down. As we mentioned in option 1, the Chargers have multiple starting roles they still need to fill with this draft class. Not to mention the backup spots they need in order to protect from the good old-fashioned injury bug that plagues them almost every single season. Trading the pick could give the Chargers more flexibility to address multiple needs. But do they need to? The Chargers already have 9 picks in this draft. that has plenty of ammo to attack the holes they have, as well as bring in high upside guys later in this draft. The other drawback of this option is that the draft basically starts at pick 5, so you would miss out on a blue chip prospect. There are plenty of rumors and speculation that this draft could start with 4 quarterbacks being taken. That would leave the top non-quarterback player right there for the Chargers to take. We aren't the only ones who think this either. According to Jim Harbaugh, there's talk of 4 quarterbacks going in the first 4 picks. Boy, if that happens, that pick really becomes like the number 1 pick in this draft. Trading back wouldn't make sense for the Chargers. Their biggest needs align perfectly with the top of this draft. They should stay and make a pick.
Now here's where things get weird. What if I told you there's a wild card in the mix? What if I suggested the Chargers trade away their star quarterback, Justin Herbert? It may sound crazy, but just stick with me here just for a minute, okay? Trading Herbert could open up a world of possibilities, including the chance to draft Jim Harbaugh's favorite quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. Harbaugh has been on record saying that McCarthy is the best quarterback in this draft and could go first overall. In some ways, Harbaugh isn't necessarily wrong either. Quarterbacks are often judged by the third down numbers, or as it's usually called, the money down. McCarthy had the best numbers out of any quarterback in this draft on 3rd and 7+. He converted over 55% of these kind of third downs and had an NFL passer rating of 149. And if you're thinking, well, he probably had the fewest attempts, you would be wrong. He had the 3rd most behind only Penix and May. So when teams knew he was going to throw on 3rd and long, he was still able to convert. Also, when comparing just McCarthy's 3rd down passer rating on 3rd and 7+ to Herbert's passer rating on all 3rd downs over the last 3 years, McCarthy actually had a higher number. Harbaugh wanted to take McCarthy, he could trade Herbert to New England for the 3rd pick plus a haul. They could use pick 3 to take McCarthy and then the 5th on any player they want. So if Harbaugh had been given full control over this team, what's to stop him from pairing back up with his college quarterback on the cheap? First would probably be sanity. Sanity would definitely stop him from doing that. The second would probably be the $89 million dead cap hit the Chargers would get for trading Justin Herbert. I don't care how much you love a quarterback, it is not worth getting rid of a top 10 quarterback and taking on almost $90 million just to get him.
So what should the Chargers do with the 5th overall pick? Should they draft a top prospect, trade back, or break the NFL by trading Justin Herbert? The choice seems obvious. The Chargers should stay at 5 and draft a blue chip player. To us, it would make the most sense to take Malik Nabers. Nabers is a special player when you get the ball in his hands with space. That would pair well with the Chargers' play action heavy offense. He is also great on deeper routes, which will allow Herbert to use his really big arm. But hey, that's just what we think the Chargers should do at pick number 5. What do you think the Chargers should do? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more NFL draft analysis and football content. Until next time, we are the RFL Show.